Imagine being on a silent battlefield, believing the next hour will be just another ordinary clash. When suddenly, the sky splits with a dry thunder and an invisible projectile tears through the air at a speed impossible to follow. There's no time to take cover, no shield strong enough to resist. Bodies are pierced, walls crumble, and courage dissolves into pure terror. This is not a scene from fiction. It was reality when the Romans used the weapon that forever changed the art of war, the Ballista. Today you will discover why this machine was not just iron and wood, but a psychological weapon of terror that dominated the minds and hearts of Rome's enemies. Stay with me until the end, because I will show you not only how it worked, but also the hidden strategies that transformed this invention into one of the most lethal and intelligent weapons of antiquity. If you love diving into the secrets of ancient Rome, subscribe right now, because this story will grip you until the very last second. And before we continue, let me ask you something important. This content is the fruit of hours of research and dedication to bring you the secrets few people know about ancient Rome. If this beginning has already stirred your curiosity, return the favor now by leaving your like. It strengthens the channel and shows me you want more videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell, because here you will find stories that don't appear in history books, revelations that will transform the way you see the Roman Empire. Let's go together on this journey. The ballista that terrorized generations of soldiers was not born in Rome. Its seed sprouted much earlier, in 5th century BC Greece, when Hellenic engineers created the gastrophetes described by Hero of Alexandria. The name means belly bow, and it wasn't a linguistic whim. To fire it, the operator pressed the mechanism against his abdomen, using the strength of his own body to tension a cord, far stronger than any common bowstring. The result? A weapon that could hurl heavier projectiles at distances archers had never dreamed of. It was as if war had suddenly risen to a new level. Soldiers could no longer rely solely on sword and shield. Now, there was something on the horizon capable of piercing their protection before combat even began. This was only the beginning of an evolution that Rome would later transform into a constant engine of destruction and power. The true technological leap would come a century later in Syracuse, the fortified city-state of Sicily. There, Dionysius the Fair made a decision unheard of in his time. He hired full-time military engineers, men whose sole mission was to create new machines of war. In this atmosphere of innovation, torsion artillery was born, weapons that no longer relied on the curve of a bow, but on the force stored in twisted bundles of animal sinew or even human hair. When released, these bundles produced an explosion of energy that could hurl darts and stones at lethal speed. Under Philip II and later Alexander the Great, these weapons gained mobility. They were no longer just fixed siege engines, but companions of armies in open field battles. In the famous siege of Tyre in 332 BC, they were decisive. They struck down defenders from the walls, opened paths for siege towers, and shattered the morale of enemies even before direct combat began. Rome was not yet playing this deadly game of machines, but it was watching closely. Between the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, its legions fought against Hellenistic kingdoms such as Syracuse, Macedonia, and the vast Seleucid Empire. It was during this direct contact that the Romans first encountered torsion machines, and they immediately understood something crucial. This was no mere mechanical curiosity. It was a decisive advantage. The Greeks, brilliant as they were in engineering, used these weapons sparingly, mostly in long sieges. Rome thought differently. Its spirit was to absorb the best from conquered peoples, standardize it, and turn it into military routine. For Rome, the ballista would not be an exceptional tool. It would be integrated into the everyday life of the legions. It could support infantry attacks, protect camps from ambushes, and even change the course of open-field battles. This shift in mentality was a turning point. The ballista ceased to be rare and became a vital gear in the machinery of Roman conquest. Between 214 and 212 BC, during the Second Punic War, Rome laid siege to Syracuse. The commander was Marcus Claudius Marcellus, an experienced general who believed he faced another difficult but manageable campaign. On the other side, however, the city had an unparalleled ally, Archimedes, the genius who transformed mathematical calculations into weapons of defense. According to Plutarch and Livy, Archimedes placed torsion machines of various sizes along the city walls. The largest hurled long-range projectiles capable of sinking ships before they reached the shore. Smaller ones, hidden at strategic points, unleashed darts and stones by surprise against soldiers and crews. Every Roman advance was met with a devastating and precise rain. Even nighttime attacks failed, as Archimedes calculated by the sound of the waves and the passage of time, and still hit his targets. It was a brutal lesson for Rome. War had become a technological race. Despite Archimedes' brilliance, Syracuse eventually fell. But the message was burned into Rome's spirit. Without equivalent weapons and specialized engineers, every campaign began at a disadvantage. The Senate and generals realized the ballista could not be used only on special occasions. It had to march with every legion. By Julius Caesar's time, this vision was reality. Every Roman unit had a permanent group of ballistari, soldiers trained not only to operate the machines, but to assemble, calibrate, and repair them in the field. Standardization became the secret to success. Following principles described by Vitruvius in De Architectura, proportions were reproduced with precision, ensuring every piece was interchangeable. In the chaos of battle, a ballista could be ready to fire again within minutes. Rome had turned war into applied science, blending discipline, ingenuity, and speed. Not all ballistae were alike. Rome adapted each version to its needs. The Scorpio, for example, was smaller and lighter, designed to be maneuvered in open field and to strike specific targets, such as enemy leaders or archers in elevated positions. Heavy versions had a different mission, demolishing gates, walls, and towers, and versatility went further. At sea, these machines were mounted on the decks of triremes and quinqueremes, firing at masts, sails, and crews before boarding began. The ballista became as indispensable as a legionary's gladius or shield. Behind its efficiency was not just wood, iron, and twisted sinews, but an almost scientific discipline. Operating one required calculations, constant maintenance, and the cold focus of those who knew a mistake could mean instant defeat. It was the perfect fusion of technology, organization, and Roman pragmatism, turning fear into a weapon. At the heart of the ballista was its mechanical genius. Two bundles of animal sinews, and sometimes even human hair, were twisted and compressed to their limit, functioning like giant torsion springs. When the wooden arms were drawn back, energy was stored within them. Upon release, all that power exploded outward, launching darts or stones with lethal force. Calibration was an act of engineering and art. The sinews were framed in reinforced wooden blocks with bronze, regulated by large metal discs called modioli, which allowed precise tension control. Vitruvius left exact mathematical formulas. For each dart, the whole of the spring and the length of the firing arm had to follow calculated proportions. But theory alone wasn't enough. Climate altered everything. Humidity softened the sinews, heat shrank them. That's why the Ballistari inspected and treated their machines daily with vinegar or oil, maintaining perfect elasticity. A single neglect could cost an entire battle. The true power of the ballista was not just in its force, but in its mobility and logistics. Romans designed it to be disassembled into modules, wooden frames, metal parts, sinews preserved in vinegar, and standardized ammunition. This arsenal traveled with the baggage of the legions, distributed in wagons, or even carried by soldiers. This allowed them to cross mountains, rivers, or muddy roads without losing speed. At the destination, a team of ballistari could reassemble the machine within hours. In camps, their positioning followed a pattern, mounted on towers or near gates, providing cover against surprise attacks. This was no improvisation, but part of a portable manual of military engineering every legion carried. Versatility changed the game. Cities that once thought themselves safe suddenly realized they were within reach of Rome's silent death. No enemy could feel beyond danger. Archaeological evidence and modern tests confirm what the ancients already feared. A ballista could hurl iron darts that pierced shields, armor, and even multiple aligned bodies, or stones of 10 kilos more than 400 meters shattering any defense. But its impact went beyond physical destruction. The dry crack of its shot, followed by an invisible strike ripping through everything in its path, was enough to break the morale of entire armies. Josephus described during the siege of Jerusalem that defenders feared the sound more than the approach of Roman troops. For Rome, war was not only about force, it was about discipline, calculation, and the ability to dominate the enemy's mind as well. The ballista symbolized exactly that. The power to dictate the rhythm of battle, shape the terrain, and turn fear into victory. And for you, what impresses you most about this weapon? Its devastating power or the psychological terror it spread? If this story captivated you, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this video so more people can discover the military secrets of Rome. If this dive into Roman history has already given you new insights and revelations, return the favor by leaving your like right now. It's the simplest way to say, keep bringing us this hidden knowledge. And don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because each video is a chance to transform how you see the past and understand how the weapons, strategies, and secrets of Rome still echo today. Together, we will keep alive this journey of discoveries that can change the way you see history.